Hello and welcome to Dinar Daily, where we track the ongoing conversations and developments surrounding global currency discussions. Today, we are examining a significant surge in dialogue within the community, one that many longtime followers have been monitoring with keen interest. After long periods of speculation and analysis, recent reports circulating online are being interpreted by many as a potential turning point in the long-running narrative surrounding certain international currencies. This renewed energy, which has captured the attention of observers worldwide, appears to stem from claims of new activity, sparking fresh conversation and hope among those who have followed this story for years. The catalyst for this renewed focus appears to be a series of reports attributed to respected voices within the community, including the well-known commentator Frank26. According to these discussions, the long-discussed potential revaluation of currencies such as the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong may be entering a new phase. Information circulating in various online forums and social media groups suggests that unverified reports had begun to surface from sources purportedly connected to international banking systems. These reports, while not officially confirmed by any government or financial institution, have nonetheless fueled a powerful wave of optimism. The core of this new wave of discussion centers on unverified reports of preliminary activity within international exchange systems. The sheer volume of this recent chatter has prompted widespread excitement among currency holders. Observers note that this isn't the first time rumors have circulated, but many in the community are suggesting that the current momentum feels different. This renewed energy is seen by some as a possible indicator of early-stage financial shifts, a topic that has been a cornerstone of discussion within these specialized online communities for well over a decade. For many years, the narrative surrounding the potential revaluation of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong has been characterized by cycles of high anticipation followed by quiet lulls. The current atmosphere, however, is being described by participants as building at a pace that seems unfamiliar. In recent statements attributed to community leader Frank26, it is reportedly suggested that updates are surfacing from contacts allegedly connected to international banking systems. These updates are said to hint that certain financial institutions may have begun the process of adjusting internal procedures related to foreign currency exchanges. These claims, it must be stressed, remain unsubstantiated by any official public announcements. Nonetheless, they have captured the widespread attention of those who have long followed the economic stories of Iraq and Vietnam. Across numerous online forums, discussions have intensified significantly. Individuals are actively sharing anecdotes and observations, including unconfirmed stories of possible appointment verifications for currency exchanges, second-hand reports of early exchange activity, and speculation about behind-the-scenes coordination between financial entities. The energy surrounding this movement is a tangible phenomenon within these communities. While no major banking institution has issued a public statement confirming any new, widespread exchange programs for these currencies, supporters within the community are interpreting this surge of information as a potential early sign. The narrative being constructed by some observers is that this activity could be part of a broader, speculative global financial restructuring. Such a hypothetical shift, proponents argue, could aim to rebalance the perceived value of currencies from emerging markets that they believe are currently undervalued, rewarding the patience of long-term holders. If these unverified reports were ever to be officially confirmed, such a development would be noted as a significant economic event. For the individuals who have been patiently holding assets like the Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong, this perceived shift in momentum feels unique. It is being described by some commentators as a window of destiny, a theoretical intersection of long-term preparation and emerging opportunity. The speculative reports, often shared by community insiders and analysts, have contributed to a palpable sense of urgency and anticipation among followers of this topic. One of the more specific concepts being discussed is that of a private exchange process. According to these unverified reports, this process may have already begun in a limited capacity. These exchanges are said to involve select individuals, sometimes referred to within the community as Tier 1 exchangers, who are purportedly engaging with specialized desks at major financial institutions. It is frequently suggested that these activities are being conducted under strict confidentiality agreements or non-disclosure agreements, which would explain the lack of public information. The circulation of these unverified reports has prompted many in the broader community to begin reviewing their personal strategies and preparations. Forum discussions indicate that individuals are reassessing their holdings and considering what steps they would need to take if a more public phase of currency adjustment were to be announced. Analysts and commentators within the space, even those sharing the exciting reports, frequently couple their updates with calls for caution, patience, and individual due diligence. They often remind holders that even if progress is occurring, verification through legitimate banking channels remains essential. Still, for a community that has persevered through years of study, rumor, and dashed hopes, this particular moment is being framed as a potential culmination. It is seen by some as a testament to the strength of a global group of individuals who maintained a belief in the economic potential of nations like Iraq and Vietnam. The discussions often highlight a sense of unity and shared purpose, as participants analyze new information and share their perspectives on what these developments might mean for the long-term journey of these currencies. To fully grasp why this narrative resonates so powerfully with so many, it's important to examine the deeper historical and economic context that forms its foundation. The Iraqi dinar, for instance, is often remembered by long-term observers as having once been one of the strongest and most stable currencies in the Middle East. Decades ago, it held a value that, at times, even surpassed that of the US dollar. This history is a key element for those who believe in its potential for recovery and a return to a stronger valuation. This period of strength, however, was dramatically overturned by decades of geopolitical turmoil. Years of devastating war, crippling international sanctions, and prolonged political instability led to a severe devaluation of the Iraqi dinar. The currency that exists today is a fraction of its former value, a situation that has impacted the nation's economy and its citizens for decades. This turbulent past is the backdrop against which all modern recovery efforts are measured by the international community and by currency observers. Over the past several years, Iraq's economy has been the subject of substantial reform and modernization efforts, developments that are closely tracked by the dinar community. The Central Bank of Iraq has been a key player, implementing tighter and more modern monetary policies. It has worked to introduce more secure digital banking systems and has focused heavily on strengthening its compliance with international financial standards, including robust anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer (KYC) protocols to reintegrate with the global financial system. These foundational changes, coupled with Iraq's significant economic drivers, form the basis of the community's optimism. Iraq's rising oil exports provide substantial state revenue, while ongoing infrastructure investments and growing foreign partnerships signal a rebuilding of the nation's economic capacity. Many in the community believe that these fundamental improvements have created the necessary conditions for a revaluation. Such an event, they argue, would be a logical step to reflect Iraq's genuine economic potential rather than being a reflection of its difficult past. Vietnam's economic story, which is often discussed in parallel with Iraq's, offers a similar narrative of perseverance and remarkable transformation. Over the last 2 decades, Vietnam has successfully evolved from a developing nation into one of Asia's most dynamic and rapidly expanding economies. Its growth has been fueled by a powerful manufacturing sector, which has attracted significant foreign investment and robust exports that have made it a key player in global supply chains. The nation has increasingly integrated itself into the international economic arena. Despite this impressive and sustained economic performance, the Vietnamese dong has, by most economic accounts, remained at an artificially low value for years. This valuation has been seen by economists as a deliberate strategy to support the nation's export-driven industries by making its goods cheaper on the global market. However, this same strategy has limited the purchasing power of the dong abroad and has kept the currency's official value from reflecting the country's true economic stature. Many economists, both within Vietnam and internationally, have suggested that a gradual realignment or appreciation of the dong's value could be a natural next step, one that would better reflect the nation's modern economic achievements. Proponents of the speculative revaluation theory believe that Vietnam's political stability, combined with its impressive trade surpluses and relatively low inflation rates, make it a strong candidate for a future currency adjustment. This economic strength is why the dong is frequently linked with the dinar in these community discussions, whether these ongoing discussions are grounded in an imminent, near-term development or are simply reflecting a long-term economic evolution. One truth remains clear: Vietnam's growth trajectory is reshaping its role in global finance. The eventual revaluation of the dong, whenever and however it might occur, would be seen as a symbol of the nation's rise as a modern economic powerhouse. Both Iraq and Vietnam are positioning themselves for the next stage of international economic integration, and their ongoing modernization efforts continue to reshape perceptions of their national currencies. This surge in reports has naturally led to a heightened focus within the community on the topic of preparation for any possible future valuation changes. The first and most practical step frequently discussed in these forums is that of verification. Participants regularly exchange advice on ensuring that any banknotes they hold are genuine, often suggesting authentication through reputable dealers or financial institutions that specialize in foreign currency. The importance of maintaining clear documentation, such as records proving the origin of the holdings, is also a constant theme. Another key aspect of this preparation-focused discussion is strategic planning. The community speculates that in any future currency-related event, authorized exchange centers or Tier 1 banks would likely have established formal procedures. Access to these procedures, it is theorized, would depend on steps like scheduling appointments and presenting valid identification. The hypothetical logistics of such a process are a common topic of conversation. As holders contemplate how they would navigate an official system, consulting with professional financial advisors is another topic frequently raised by community commentators, including Frank26. These discussions often highlight the need to speak with professionals who are knowledgeable about cross-border taxation and international finance. It is noted that each country applies its own specific rules to capital gains and currency conversions, making professional guidance a key consideration for anyone navigating such a complex financial event. The emphasis is on preparation and calm organization, qualities that are said to separate thoughtful participants from purely emotional actors. Within the speculative dinar and dong communities, commentators like Frank26 often serve as central figures in these discussions, and his name is frequently mentioned. He and others often emphasize that moments of significant change, whether real or anticipated, demand discipline rather than haste. The narrative suggests that even if redemption or exchange programs were ever to be introduced, any special or contract rates would likely be offered within a structured, time-limited framework governed by official policy, not by private hearsay or rumor. For this reason, a parallel discussion has emerged focusing less on chasing rumored timelines and more on building comprehensive financial literacy. Community leaders often encourage followers to understand how international banking systems function, how to evaluate foreign exchange spreads, and how to work with legitimate established institutions. This knowledge, it is argued, provides far more lasting value than speculation alone. A well-informed participant, according to this perspective, approaches any currency discussion with proper documentation, a verified banking relationship, and a clear understanding of global compliance standards across the wider financial world. The existing infrastructure for such an event is often pointed to as a sign of feasibility. Major international banks such as JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and HSBC already maintain sophisticated foreign exchange divisions. These desks are equipped to handle a wide variety of global currencies and already conduct millions of legal transactions daily. These operations are governed by strict anti-money laundering, know your customer, KYC, regulations, which are standard practice in modern finance. The argument made within the community is that if the Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese dong were to ever gain broader convertibility at new, officially sanctioned rates, these banks would simply adapt their existing frameworks to accommodate the change. Behind the scenes, wealth management departments, compliance officers, and foreign exchange specialists in these institutions continually train to implement new monetary protocols whenever a country updates its currency policies. Therefore, while no official activation of revaluation desks has been announced, the global infrastructure to support legitimate conversions is already established. This leads many commentators to suggest that the most prudent course for currency holders is to maintain open communication with their own banking institutions. The repeated themes are to confirm the authenticity of all notes and to remain informed through transparent, verified financial channels rather than relying solely on social media speculation. The act of organizing records and understanding existing banking procedures is presented as the best way to ensure readiness for any authentic policy change that may occur in the future. The shift being discussed today is often framed within a much larger global context. Community analysts suggest this is not an event happening in a vacuum. It has been developing as nations around the world explore new ways to strengthen their economies and diversify away from a dependency on a single currency for trade. This movement is not limited to just Iraq or Vietnam. It is presented as part of a broader reevaluation of how trade, assets, and value are measured in an increasingly multipolar global economy. Across the international stage, countries are entering into more bilateral agreements that allow them to settle transactions directly in their own national currencies, rather than routing everything through the US dollar. Oil contracts, for example, are reportedly being written in multiple denominations. Regional trading blocs are testing new settlement systems that bypass older clearing mechanisms. Furthermore, digital platforms are being developed to record transactions securely through distributed ledger technologies, all of which point to a system in transition. Collectively, these innovations are interpreted by some as the first steps toward a new era of global finance. This speculative new era, it is argued, might place more value on genuine productivity and tangible assets rather than speculative paper flows. Within this broader context, the discussions about a potential Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong adjustment become symbolic of a deeper, systemic change. It is seen as part of a world exploring a new balance and fairness in how national value is recognized.